Alright, so we're going to look at my first blueprint class, which is the fireball. So, essentially, what this looks like is just a little ball of fire. Oh, sorry about that. Just a little ball of fire right there. And there's a particle system attached to it. Now, as you can see over here, right here, you can see that there's currently no particle system attached to it directly, and that is because back in our other blueprint class, right here, we left it this way so we could set a different particle effect so that whenever you're casting the spell, you can visually identify what spell it is that you're casting. So that's why this particle effect is empty as of right now. But if we go back to the event graph, alright, so you can see I have commented some things already, but there are two triggers nodes that will, whenever something happens to our class, then it will go ahead and act out on the node. So it's essentially a two-part script. That's one part, and that's part two. So, at the beginning of play, which means whenever this class comes into existence, we're going to do this. And this is adding an impulse. If y'all are familiar with Unity, that's kind of like adding a vector or applying a force. Basically, it's like you're hitting the ball and you're saying, hey, move in this direction. So, add impulse, and you can see there's plenty of parameters here. You could do it to bone names for skeletal mesh components. This is kind of cool if you're wanting to do things with animating or just skeletal things. And this just makes, this applies physics to, as you can see, if true, the strength is taken as a change in velocity instead of as an impulse. So instead of like setting it, it will add that much more force to it. And the impulse, this is where we set the magnitude and the direction of the object. So, and here is the object that we're going to apply this on, which is our sphere. And you can see that that sphere is actually a reference to our sphere over here in the viewport. That lovely thing right there. So, anyways, back to our event graph. So, what will happen is at the beginning of its creation, it'll add an impulse. And it'll apply that impulse to the sphere. And the impulse that it adds is it gets the actor forward vector. So, in the last one, we set which direction the class was facing right here with our rotator and the making transform. And that's important now because now that our thing is already pointed in the right direction, we can just say get actor forward vector, and it targets itself and it returns the value. And then we're going to add this much to that value, which is 0 essentially at the beginning. So we're going to add 1,000 to it, which is just a magnitude, and the vector or the direction is the forward direction, which a vector is a direction with a speed. So it applies that, and that will shoot the ball forward. That's what makes our fireball. Just go pew pew. So that's part one. Now, what happens to it after that? Well, it's going to run into something eventually, hopefully, if you have good aim. So, when it hits something, event hit. What this node does is it looks for a collision or bumping into any other solid objects. So, of course, you could set a filter on this, depending on the kind of game objects that kind of actors that you have in the scene. But right now we just have it for everything. It will register all collisions with everything that it knows. And we will apply damage to whatever it is that we hit. That's how we do that, is whatever this other is tells us what our ball ran into. The other is what it ran into. And so we're going to damage that actor. That's the apply damage node here. And this is how you set how much. You can see right here, you can actually do that dynamically if you wanted to create some more nodes over there to dynamically change how much you were doing, how much damage was being dealt. And that's all that's really important for the apply damage node. And then after that, it goes on to this one, the spawn emitter node. Now this is what makes it look like something happened. This is something actually happening dealing the damage. This is what makes it look like something happened in the game. This is the visual response to that. And what's going to happen is you spawn an emitter. This might look a little bit familiar. As you see here, we have spawn actor. It looks pretty similar to that one. And basically, the difference is the spawn emitter is it spawns a particle system. And you can make it keep going forever if you want to, or you can destroy it right after. Since explosions don't last forever, we go ahead and we have that clicked so it will auto-destroy. And we select which explosion or which particle effect, because you could make whatever particle effect you want to go from there. So you have to make an explosion particle effect, and then you'll set it right there. And then you determine its location. You get the actors. How you do that? If you want to spawn it right on top of where the actor just hit, then you're gonna want to get the actor location, and you'll apply that to the location of the spawn emitter, so it will be like, hey, this is where the ball just was. So this is my X, Y, and Z coordinates. I'm going to patch that through to the emitter, and I'll spawn the emitter there. So after you do that, it will go ahead and destroy the actor, which is this blueprint class as a whole. So the ball will disappear, and after the emitter gets done spawning, the emitter will disappear as well, and it will get rid of all this functionality so that once it hits, it won't do anything else afterwards. And that's pretty much it for the Fireball class. It was pretty difficult to grasp at first. It took me a while to figure out how to get the impulse to work the way that I needed to. But I think the easiest thing about this was the apply damage, because that was something that Unreal already has in place, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because that helps so much, because you can use that on a lot of things. As long as you use the same system for applying damage, you can make other characters take that damage, or actors in the game, like destructible meshes, and make things fall apart with that. So that's a really cool functionality that I really appreciate about Unreal. Anyways, I will see y'all in the next video, where I will be explaining my first and smallest area of effect spell. So, see you in the next one.